actually I follow, as you said, that teaches modern Islam according to interpretation. I believe in interpretation of Quran and the Sahih Hadith. So I go back to the original sources. When I speak about religion, I go back to the original scripture. Right. So I speak about Hinduism, I go to the Veda. When I speak about Islam, I go back to the Quran and the authentic Hadith, and then I present it to the world.
And by doing that, you built this following of literally crores and crores of people around the world.
Alhamdulillah, it's God's grace and mercy that He has helped.
So you say you go to the original sources. So are you suggesting that many others who use the medium of Islam to put many restrictions, watching television for example, or going to a modern school, particularly for women, they are not reading the original scriptures?
See, what I believe that they may take a verse of the Quran and Hadith and may misinterpret it.
Right.
So maybe there's a scholar who has misinterpreted something maybe 50 years back, 100 years back, 200 years back. So they believe in his view directly without going to the source.
Right.
What I do whenever I read a statement of a scholar, I go back and see why has he said that thing. Right. So most of the people, they just believe and they quote the scholar without checking what he has quoted and from where he has got it. So what we believe that there is no verse in the Quran or the Hadith which says that television is prohibited.
Right.
Yes, there is a statement in the Quran which says, about making tasveer or portrait, by doing my hand. Right. It doesn't mean about photography and videography, because at the time of the Prophet, photography and videography wasn't there. Right. So according to me, there's no verse in the Quran, the Hadith which says that television is haram. But watching wrong thing on television, right, like obscenity, like pornography, fine, that is haram.
Right, right, right. So do you think that Islam has actually undeservingly got a bad name because of wrong interpretation of the original scriptures by many?
That's right, I agree with you totally. It is the most misconceived religion in the world, most misunderstood religion.
Give me some examples, because you talk to people around the world.
For example, as we are discussing, the most misconceived word in Islam is jihad. Right. People have a wrong notion and they've got the wrong information just by the television media, etc. Because as you know that jihad, originally, the Arabic word comes from the word jiddu jihad, means to strive and to struggle.
Struggle.
That's it. It means to strive and struggle.
It doesn't mean holy war.
Doesn't mean at all. This, if you see that jiddu jihad means to strive and struggle, so if you Islamic context, it means to strive and struggle against your own evil inclination. To strive and struggle to make the society better. Even if a person is striving and struggling in the battlefield in self-defense, that's called as jihad. Right. So this word holy war was first used to describe the Christian crusaders, right, who spread the religion on the point of the sword. And now it's used for the Muslims, unfortunately, because holy war in Arabic, if you translate, means Harbun Muqaddasa. This word Harbun Muqaddasa doesn't appear anywhere in the Quran, neither in the sayings of the Prophet. So holy war in Arabic is Harbun Muqaddasa.
But there are invocations for Muslims to rise in jihad, either against the West or in some places against India or wherever. People who give these invocations haven't read their books right.
Some may be right, some may be wrong.
Right.
For example, if someone says that I want to do jihad to clean up the society, right, and he says that pornography should be removed from society, it's right.
It's right.
So he's striving and struggling, right, to remove obscenity from society, which is right.
Right.
But to say in terms which is wrong, which is against the Quran and the Hadith. For example, the Quran says in Surah Maida, chapter number 5, verse number 32, if any human being kills any other human being, whether Muslim or non-Muslim, unless it be for murder or for creating corruption in the land, it is as though he has killed the whole of humanity. So any Muslim kills any other non-Muslim, innocent non-Muslim, or a Muslim, it is against the Quran.
And that would apply to the people who went around killing people in 26/11.
100% it is against the teaching of the Quran Hadith. Right. 26/11, 11 September in New York Twin Tower, killing innocent people, even a single, and the Quran goes ahead and says that if you kill a single human being, it is as though you have killed the whole of humanity. One, here they have killed thousands, right, in the World Trade Center, and even here 26/11, hundreds. It's totally against the religion.
And to kill in the name of Islam is unfair to Islam.
Unless the word says, unless he has killed someone else,
right,
for justice or created corruption in the land.
Right.
For example, someone does rape. Right. So Islamic law says that to be strict. So if it falls into these two categories of murder against murder or spreading corruption in the land, that's the time.
I'm looking at specific examples like 26/11 or
100% wrong. Going in the marketplace, blowing up, killing innocent people, even non-Muslim. Even if some non-Muslim had done some harm to you, you can't go and kill any other non-Muslim.
Right.
It's out of the question.
Right.
It's totally against
so,
Islam.
so to use jihad or to use Islam to justify this is something you object to?
100%. 100%.
Because I've been watching a lot of your DVDs, and I'm fascinated by the fact you make a distinction between 9/11, which you say was a terrible thing, the destruction of the Twin Towers, and Osama bin Laden, because you are hesitant to accept that he's a terrorist or he's a terrorist leader.
I mean, the complete statement would be, I'm hesitant to accept him as a terrorist or a saint. That is the complete statement.
Terrorist or a saint.
Or a saint. Because see, personally, because what I have learned about Osama bin Laden is from the news channels,
Right.
from BBC, CNN. So if you ask my view about Osama bin Laden, I can repeat it, but it will not be any justice, because the Quran says in Surah Hujurat, chapter number 49, verse number 6, whenever you get information, you check it up before you pass it on to the third person.
Right.
So I personally haven't checked up whether
That's what
Osama bin Laden is good or
we
bad.
teach in journalism schools, actually.
That's right. So unfortunately, what I say, if you ask me about Osama bin Laden's opinion, I neither say he's a saint, neither is he a terrorist. I don't know. I haven't interviewed him. I haven't done a survey. And same question. Now people say, see, Zakir is supporting Osama bin Laden. I said, that's not the case. I'm being neutral. If I don't know a person, I cannot
But
give
at
my
the same
opinion.
time, you will say the destruction of the Twin Towers was
And
bad.
what I say, the person who has destroyed the Twin Tower is 100% wrong. He cannot be a practicing Muslim. He has to be condemned.
And he's a terrorist.
100% is wrong.
But you are not sure if it's Osama bin Laden.
That's it. Because I keep on traveling, I get information from, I've seen many documentaries, Loose Chain, 9/11, which state that it was an inside job. This 9/11 was done as an inside job done by George Bush himself. Neither am I saying that is right. Now, because I get conflicting views, and the evidence what I saw in that documentary is far superior than evidence against Osama bin Laden. But in the same vein, if someone asked me that the lady, what's her name, Sadhvi, Sadhvi Pragya
Pragya.
Thakur. They asked me that is she a terrorist? I said, see, that is what the Bombay police is saying. For me, she's neither a terrorist, neither a saint. For her to be called a terrorist, surely she has to undergo a trial.
Right.
And if the judge gives the judgment, most of the time, almost all, the judgment of the Indian judiciary I respect. There may be once or twice which I may disagree.
That's the other thing, if I say if one has to read the collected works of Dr. Zakir Naik, those are in your DVDs.
That's right.
A very fascinating thing is your faith in the Indian system, the constitution, the
That's right.
judiciary.
That's right.
It's so refreshing.
That's right, that's right.
Where does that come from? Let's
See,
talk
what
a
I
bit
believe
more
that
about it.
when I go and see the background, I'm a person who observes the things objectively rather than going emotionally and news. So when I've seen that even innocent people, whether Muslim or non-Muslim, if they have been harassed by certain people for their own motives, finally judicial system comes to the help.
Right.
They may get the help maybe 2 years late or 5 years late or 10 years late, but they get the clean sheet. So seeing that, I have more faith in the judicial system. That is the reason when they ask me about Sadhvi, I say neither she is good, neither bad, neither saint, neither terrorist. But that is not reported in the paper.
Right.
That Dr. Zakir Naik is neutral to a Sadhvi. Because I use the same scale for a Muslim or non-Muslim.
Right.
Has to be just.
Osama as well as Sadhvi.
That's right.
So, and what about the constitution? I mean, the constitution is what gives every citizen an equal right. But there are many in the Muslim community in particular who complain that this is not good enough, that Indian system is not good enough, who lack faith in the system.
As far as the Indian constitution is concerned, I've said that in my lecture many times, that I'm proud to be an Indian.
Right.
And India is one of the few countries in the world which gives a right to the citizen to preach, practice and follow the religion.
Right.
So as far as all the constitution, the non-Muslim countries in the world that I see, India is the best I can see.
And Indian constitution does not place any restrictions on
That's
Muslim.
right. Because what I say that I am a practicing Muslim and I'm a practicing Indian citizen.
Right.
And I don't know a single constitution, rule in the constitution which forces a Muslim to do something which is prohibited in Islam or prevents him from doing something which is fard or compulsory in Islam.
Right.
So I can be a very good practicing Muslim and I'm proud to be Indian, both together simultaneously.
Because there's another view that if India had not got divided, then it would have been one country.
I am for it.
With 45 crore Muslims.
I believe the worst thing that happened to this country was the division. Partition shouldn't have taken place. It was better for the Muslims if they lived as one country. It would have been better.
Why do you say so? Let's
Because
talk
I
a bit
feel
more
that
about it.
in many ways, I believe it would have been a bigger force I mean, imagine resources of Pakistan, India all put together, whether it be sports, whether it be cricket, whether it be otherwise, whether it be intellectual, I mean, far better, and we'll be a bigger force.
Right.
Now, India is supposed to be superpower in the next few years.
Right.
China and India is competing. If we have been joined together, imagine Pakistan,
and
Bangladesh,
Muslims
India.
themselves would have had much stronger political power.
Without doubt. I feel it was more of, again, the view of some of the individuals who wanted division, not the Muslims. I mean, the various theories why the partition took place.
Right.
I don't want to go into the details.
Right.
It was engineered and it took place.
But the partition did harm the Muslims of the subcontinent.
That's my view.
That's
100%. If they were together with a bigger force, they lived harmoniously as we were before, and better in many ways, in terms of economics, in terms of education.
Because only you can get away with it. Many Hindu leaders, for example, will today be afraid of saying this. Hindu means not necessarily leaders of the BJP, but even intellectuals of sort of Hindu persuasion. They'll have a tough time saying this. They'll have to now say, for political correctness, that I accept the two-nation theory, long live Pakistan.
I disagree with it totally.
So, have the Muslims done introspection?
See what I believe, that it was what I feel, what little I have read. It was more of a pressure tactic used by some of the Muslim politicians to get their rights, which backfired. Or the opposition took it as a thing and they said, okay, let's part.
And maybe the partition was accepted too easily by the Congress.
And besides that, the people who parted, these politicians weren't really practicing Muslims.
Right.
Walk the Talk, brought to you by Children's Plans from HDFC Standard Life.